Hey, Jesse here again. Bringing you with the second episode of New Western Hunter. This one's going to be weapon systems. I'm going to focus just on rifles and the optics on the rifles today. I did film one earlier with the bow and the rifle, and it was a really long fucking video. So I'm going to try to keep this short as much as I can. Like I said, I'm not going to get into super details of ballistics of the rifle themselves, right? I want you to do your own research. I'm going to point you in the right direction to help you with that research, and give you just enough knowledge to be a little bit dangerous with your knowledge. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to talk about today is rifles, okay, and firearm safety. I'm not going to talk hunter safety, but firearm safety and how it applies, right? So with firearm safety, right, you want to treat every single gun as if it were loaded. I always verify my gun before I put it in a safe, when I take it out of the safe, when I put it in a case, when I take it out of a case. All right, and then always point your gun in a safe direction. Okay. Keep your finger off the trigger and out of the trigger guard unless you intend to shoot and pull that trigger. Always keep away from that trigger, regardless if the bolt is open or not. And specifically today, by the way, I'm going to talk bolt action guns. No semi-automatic AR platforms, not shotguns, anything like that. All right. Be sure you know what is at your target and beyond your target. Okay. So if you're hitting steel, punching paper at a range, know that there's dirt behind it. If you're shooting an animal and it's skylined on a ridge, not a good idea. Do not shoot that animal. You might miss, or it might be a through and through, and you don't know what's on the other side of that ridge. Okay, so you always want to pay attention to that, where your target is and what's beyond. And the last one is, do not shoot your weapon or do not point your weapon at something unless you intend to destroy that. Okay, and I mean destroy. So, first things first, we're going to talk about a rifle. All right, we're going to talk lightweight, heavyweight, synthetic versus wood, new versus old, and they all kind of go together. So, and when we talk about that, we're going to talk. Remember those three questions I asked you in the first video was, what are you going to hunt? Where are you going to hunt it? And when are you going to hunt it? Okay, one of it might be applicable for bow, so ignore the rifle video. It's up to you. But if you got a rifle already, well, that kind of will narrow you down on your seasons. Okay, so first rifle I'm gonna hold up here. So this is my standard hunting rig. This is a synthetic rifle. I mean, a synthetic stock, not a synthetic rifle. All right. I'm not going to promote particular brands. I am particular to smaller name brands, vice the big names. Um, that's just me. Okay. And I'll kind of get into why when it comes to the quality of the weapon itself and the error of margin that the companies kind of accept. So this right here is an older Christensen firearms. Okay. It is a synthetic stock with a carbon fiber wrap barrel. This is the Ridgeline model. I have this chambered, clear. I have this chambered in 6.5 PRC. Okay. We'll talk about round selection here. And then for the optics, I'm running a VX5 3 to 15 with a 44 mil objective, and it is a mil scope with a mil reticle. Okay, so mil turrets. This is a CDS. I can actually send this in based on my ballistic data, and it will tell me 100, 200, 300. I don't do that because I will change rounds, meaning the weight of the rounds. These are 153s. I might run a 127 if I'm in a state that can't shoot lead, like California. Okay, so I'll have to change my dope and run it, and I guess I can get another dial. I really don't want to. I like the therapeutic aspect of going to a range and zeroing a gun. Okay, so anyway, lightweight versus heavy. This gun, minus the sling, which is a custom one-off sling here from OZARK Leather. I'll put their link below. Weighs 7.2 pounds. Okay. It is a very light gun. So if I'm traveling 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles into the backcountry and this thing is on my back all day, I really don't notice it. Okay. Also, you can turn it into a really expensive hiking stick. Yesterday, when I told you about budgeting, this is one of the things that's going to cost you a pretty penny. You can get into a rifle system probably about $2,000 with the scope. This, without a military discount, is about $4,300, so $4,300 with the rifle, with the scope, and the rings. Okay, that's a chunk of change, but it's also something that you want to buy once and maybe cry once, Okay, you need something reliable. You need something that's not going to fail when you need it the most, regardless if it's 10 degrees outside, negative 10 degrees, or 100 degrees outside. It needs to work right and work right the first time. Same thing with the optic. All right, synthetic versus wood. So synthetics are going to be a lot lighter, which means easier to carry, but if you're carrying a bigger round, it's going to hurt more when you shoot it. Sorry, right? I would not want this chambered in a 30-06 with a 7-pound rifle. That's me. Maybe I'm a fucking pussy when it comes to that, but I do not want to shoot that rifle because it's going to hurt, and I know it's going to hurt, and I might have a little flinch because I know it's going to hurt. This right here is, it feels pretty damn good to shoot, okay? Old versus new. So the new ones are going to be lighter. Even the wooden ones are going to be lighter, okay? And it's about maybe aesthetics at that point. Wooden ones look very traditional, and there's some nostalgia to it, maybe a little romantic hunting, right? Whatever you want to call, or you got something handed down from a family member, which kind of goes into the older rifles also, is if you do and you've never fired it, I recommend taking it to a gunsmith, have them run through it, make sure it's safe to fire, okay? There's a reason that these designs have been around, this bolt action design, for a very long time because they work and they're very reliable for years and years and years, okay? And they have been. Let's get into the optic and the rings real quick. So I'm running Leupold backcountry rings with a Leupold scope, which means these backcountry rings connect directly to the action, okay? There's not a Picatinny rail that these would attach to. I'm not a fan because it's just more shit to torque down, okay? And when you get them torqued properly, you get it mounted properly. Same thing with the scope, okay? When you buy a scope, you can get them relatively cheap. A good rule of thumb, a friend told me a long time ago, was your optic should cost twice as much as your rifle. Nowadays, they're going to cost about the same because that's just the price of things, right? You can get a great optic for about $1,000 to $1,500 before a discount, and maybe even a little less. Okay, I think with my discount, this was just right around $900. That's with a 30% discount. Okay, but you want to spend a good amount of money on your optic because of the quality. This thing will take a beating. This has taken a beating, and it works fucking amazing. If you don't know how to mount a scope, I recommend taking it to a gun shop. Don't take it to a big gun shop. I don't recommend that. And the reason is sometimes you get somebody who really doesn't know how to do it. A friend of mine wasted a lot of ammo because he took it to a gun shop and they didn't torque anything properly. I recommend going to a small mom and pop shop that has a lot of dead animals on the wall that the owner killed. That means he knows how to fucking hunt. That means he knows how to mount the scope right. That is what I recommend. It's like when I get tattoos, I don't go to the guy without the line. I go to the guy with a 6-month waiting list. Quality, right? Buy once, cry once. So now that you got that mounted, you got that on, you got the rings, you got to zero this thing, all right? You can zero it to 100 or 200. There's a lot of philosophies out there. I go to 200. It makes my holdovers at different ranges, and my personal effective range is about 400 yards, and it's a small difference between the two. To get it zeroed, though, you get it close, right? First thing you do is your box of ammo has data on here. This will get you in the ballpark, but it's not exact, okay? To get it exact and get it as close as humanly possible, you want to use a Kestrel, okay? So with the Kestrel, you need a chrono to get the actual speeds. It gets the atmospheric pressure. It gets everything put in here. Little weather station. This is about $500-600, unfortunately. But I can put my data in here at sea level at 98-degree weather. I can go to Colorado in the fall at 8,000 feet elevation, and it'll be 10 degrees outside. This takes all the data, and it gives me the proper dope for that area already automatically. And it reads it because it is a small portable weather station. I take that dope and I put it on a piece of paper on my stock. And that way, wherever I range my animal at, I dial it in, I pull the trigger, they die. Okay. That is very important. You need to get the speeds. When you go to the range, I don't recommend shooting out of a lead sled. Personal preference, because you're not going to hunt off a lead sled. Okay, you're going to hunt either shooting off a log, off a bag, off your backpack, a wadded up jacket, something. And your zero, your eye relief, the way you look at that rifle, the way you interact with that rifle is going to be different than it is if it's securely on a bench and you're bench shooting. Okay, sometimes there's just there's too many differences in the way that is, and you may miss. And then when you get nervous and your heart rate, a lot of factors, right? But when I go to the range, there's two things I always bring. I bring a bag for rear support, right? I can use this as an arm support, something like that. Your jacket, whatever, in the field. This is a heavy. This is an Armageddon Gear medium. They're heavy and they're secure. Front support, I use a bipod. For this particular rifle, I use a Spartan. It's got a nice little FHF carrying case that can go on your bino pack, your backpack, your belt, whatever. Pops off in a pinch, so that way if you are out in the country, it goes in just like this, and it mounts right into the little M-lock that it comes with. It sits out, and now my rifle has this. And it's also, I can extend it, right? It's got little rubber things, pop that on and off, fold it back up, pull it out, and now I'm on my way. Hiking around with a bipod can be kind of cumbersome. I know a lot of people do it if you're running like a Harris or something like that. Where I go, my shit hangs up on fucking everything. I've already got enough stuff hanging up. Last thing I need to do is fuck around with my rifle in the middle of the woods. Okay? But then I zero. When you're out in the field and you're shooting, rounds and round selection, we'll get into it. Okay? I bring a little carrying case, extra rounds. Okay? And that's not because I'm going to fucking miss. It's because maybe my rifle got bumped and I verify my zero wherever I go just to make sure my scope is still on. All right, so round selection now. All right, for this rifle, I shoot a 6.5 PRC. I have found that is maybe one of the most versatile rounds that I could probably use in North America for what I want to hunt. If you go into your state regulations, every single state, and they're pretty much all the same, is going to list a minimum caliber for the game you're hunting. Okay, minimum power, minimum size. I found 6.5 in general, be it a PRC or a Creedmoor, meets the billet for everything from moose all the way down to coos deer. That's my personal preference. Everybody is going to have an opinion. Everybody is going to have a thought on it. I will tell you that if you try to take a moose or an elk with a 223, you're wrong. And maybe you're not wrong for this. If you want to take a 80-pound coos deer with a 300 PRC, that's just gross. You're going to fuck that deer up. You're not going to have a lot of meat left. It will kill it. It will be an ethical kill. Just a really gross kill, okay? I like to try to save as much meat, maybe trade it to the hide, and then you have a nice mount, okay? If you want to do that. So, round selection, ballistics. I'm not going to get into too many details, but you need to find the one that you want to shoot, that is comfortable to shoot, and the round or the manufacturer, be it a Hornady or whatever, that your gun likes. Or a friend of mine says, like, your gun likes to eat, okay? I could take a 6.5 PRC from Federal and shoot it in here, and my group is going to be kind of gross. I take these 153 A-tips, and my group is now stacking dots, okay, at 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards. You need to find what your effective range is. What's an effective range? An effective range is where you are 100% confident you can hit the same spot no matter the situation. With me, it's about 350 to 450 yards. I'm not going to shoot anywhere past that. Can I hit a target beyond that? Yes. I quite frequently put it in here and take this out to 950 to 1,000 yards on steel, cold bore shots, and I hit every single time. But I'm not going to shoot an animal or an attempt to shoot an animal at that range. Okay? I got a whole slew of lessons learned on that. I got another video actually on that and why I don't recommend that, right? So find your effective range. And if you keep getting out of it and you're not getting close, you need to get closer. It's called hunting. It's not fucking killing, right? So with that, the round selection, do that, get a proper zero, get rounds down range, sets and reps, sets and reps. The more rounds you put down range, the more comfortable you're going to be when you pull that trigger, okay? You need to keep doing that and to shoot as much as you can. It can get expensive with rounds and if you're buying them. I was fortunate enough during the pandemic that there was a big ammo shortage, but I found projectiles, I found casings, I found primers and powder, and my next door neighbor happens to be a precision rifle match shooter and match coordinator, and he hand loads and he showed me some things. So I've got 300 rounds of this, which should theoretically last me a lifetime, as long as I'm not dropping it. And I should be good to go with this particular leaded 153. Okay. So with that, we talked about round selection. We talked about rings. We talked about optics, right? So last thing, slings. Like I said, this is a custom one-off, a little heavy. It's about 8 pounds now with the whole rifle. But cases. So some states, if you're traveling via an ATV or a UTV, your gun has to be completely unloaded and put into a hard case where you travel around. So if I hunt in Colorado and it's rifle season, I got to have this in a case completely 100% unloaded. And that means nothing even in the magazine, nothing in the chamber. Okay. And that's how I have to travel. Now, if you're in a vehicle, a little bit different rules. You got to read the regulations. Same thing like bow hunting. I got to have it in a case. Okay. And it can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but you have to read the regulations for that state where you're hunting, or you could be out of regs, and we don't want that. Okay. So, I don't think I really have too much more. Thank you very much for joining me on this quick video. Hopefully it was educational. Hopefully it was beneficial. If you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments. I'm going to put links down for Leupold, their discount program, Vortex, their discount program. I'll put it down for the sling. I'll even put it down for the rifle, and a couple other links that I am big fans of, and I'll put it down there. If you like this video, hit subscribe, share it with your friends, promote it, do whatever you want to do. I did have a nice hot steamy cup of absolute bearing coffee this morning from my friend John and Lisa out in Mystic, Connecticut. I was going to have a cup now, but it's 103 degrees outside, and I don't want a hot coffee. I don't drink iced coffee. That's for millennials and Gen Z. They can drink their iced coffee and whatever the shit they want to put in it. I'm an old retired sailor. I'm going to drink my coffee hot and black, right? Looking around at the fucking yard sale at my feet, and I got really nothing else to share with you. I appreciate your day. Have a good one.